Good evening, ladies and Degents. Welcome back to the Distinguished Degents podcast on our new streaming service, going through StreamYard. I'm with my co-host, the one, the only, Jason Money Mansmann, and what looks like to be an upgrade of a house since the last time we saw him.
Yo, what can I say, man? I'm moving up in the world. Look at this beautiful, beautiful chateau that I got. No, just kidding. Just just keeping our viewers from having
Nice.
to look at the mess. So
I gotcha. So we got NCAA tournament starting today. My bracket's been busted. My Maryland parlay did not go through. Money Mansmann, any success on your end today?
yeah, actually, I got really a sort of a three-legger that came in. I had, let's see, I'm trying to think. I had oh my god, what the hell was the name of the school? The team that's playing Alabama. No. Pittsburgh, I had in the first four game. Got
Okay.
Pittsburgh. I think I had them plus like 2.5 or something. Got them in. And then I had a live bet, College of Charleston plus 10.5. That
Good.
hit. And I got a UMD bet in. So good.
There you go, buddy.
Good start on the betting. My bracket, no.
My one bracket for work is completely busted. I've gotten a total of one correct. That was not Maryland, even though I bet on them to win. Yeah, I honestly couldn't even tell you which one hit. But Arizona, I had going all the way. Yeah, gone. Dunzo. But yesterday, I had a good hot streak. Took a $3 free bet, put it on a 7.5 to 1 parlay on NHL. That hit. Got Minnesota Wild minus 1.5 on an odds boost. Got that to hit too. And for the first four as well, I got Arizona State minus 2.5, over 62.5 on the first half total. That hit at a 2.5 to 1. So I had a good start, but today not so much. But we're not here for basketball. We're back for UFC 286. Jason, UFC 285, we were with Spaceman Sam. He unfortunately cannot join us today. He went 9-7 on his predictions. I went a solid 10-4 on fighters overall. Bets, though, you wouldn't be able to tell otherwise. How did you end up faring on the last pay-per-view?
Well, I got my UFC XFL 5-legger to come in, so that hit. It was, you know what it was that undid me? It was the underdogs. Julian Marquez had a good first round, gassed out, got himself knocked out. We like Jalen Turner. He fought a decent fight, but couldn't get the decision. It's weird. I mean, one underdog on the card wins, and it's what's her name? Not Valentina, the girl who was fighting
Alexa Grasso. One underdog.
Like the one underdog on the card, biggest dog on the card, hits. Well, no, that was the guy fighting Bo Nickel. But you get the idea. It was like no underdogs hit. And sure enough, I had a small bet on the UFC card last week. I had JJ Aldrich and Sergio Damas or whatever, and sure enough, they both lost. So maybe this is the fight card where the dogs are coming back. And I think I have a couple of dogs that I like in the main card, actually. So.
Ooh, I don't have too many dogs on this card. If it's a minor spoiler alert to anyone, but unlike the last pay-per-view or even the last fight card, a lot of big favorites versus big underdogs, moderate dogs, moderate favorites. Only like maybe one or two. I would say one, maybe two. Pick 'em close odds sort of situations here. We got a lot of UFC fighters making their debuts. They are back out in London, England, and a lot of these London fighters are coming out. We remember the London card back in, I want to say it was June 2022. Are your expectations going to be any higher, lower in comparison to that one?
This is like third time's the charm, right? So if you remember, the first London card was wild. wild card, the first London card. And then the second one was boring, like kind of a letdown. So it's basically third time's the charm. First London card was good. Second one was And now
Now we got the pay-per-view on top of that. This isn't, and it's not in the smaller place in, I think they're at the O2 this time. I forget where they went last time, but it wasn't the O2. It was somewhere else, a lot smaller. So this is going to be a lot more people, a lot louder of a crowd. And like I said, a lot of fighters making their debuts in the UFC. These guys from the United Kingdom. We'll see how this fares overall. But any overall thoughts, I guess, on the last pay-per-view up until now? Any high expectations?
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing sort of in general. I mean, it's hard just because I think the last one maybe had more sort of, I don't know, John Jones' return was sort of a big draw there. And like, you know, uh, God bless America, John Jones, he's the real effing deal.net. So
Yeah. What's the phrase that they always say? Words of his demise were greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
That or Cyril Gahn truly is just another championship gatekeeper and nothing else.
Well, I think it could be both. I mean, there was a different, I think Cyril Gahn was disappointing, and we don't have to, it's getting late. We don't need to go through like the whole card, but just real quick. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think it's both. I think Cyril Gahn, not as good as we thought. And John Jones, I mean, you can't take away what he did, even though I wanted to. Like when the fight first ended, you kind of think about it more, and it's like, yeah, man. I mean, the guy, he chokes him out in like 2.5 minutes. What can you say? Tip your cap.
John Jones, man, the guy is. That was the one time to fade him too, and he literally made us eat our own words and took all our money. And Vegas was probably happy, but let's reverse our fortune here. We're like I said, we're in London. It's the UFC 286. We're in the early prelims, and starting it off here is Ultimate Fighter winner Juliana Killer Miller going up against Veronica Macedo, also last name known as Hardy. She happens to be Dan Hardy's spouse, if that interests you at all. Killer Miller, undefeated in the UFC. She is moving up in weight to flyweight here. Minus 460 favorite. Veronica Macedo is plus 320. She is now 6-4-1. She's 1-4 in the UFC. 8 of her 11 fights have gone into the third round, though. Killer Miller, 100% finish rate, 100% takedown efficiency.
I mean, she's only 3-1 though, career.
4-1.
4-1? 4-1. Okay.
I have 4-1. But I guess that's the big debate. Do you count Dana White's Contender Series or not Contender Series? Do you count the Ultimate Fighter fights? Or is it that because those are exhibitions?
Yeah.
But anyways, like let's just say for the sake of argument, she's undefeated in the UFC. She's finished all her fights, and she's getting a pancake.
Yeah, she's getting a tomato can. I don't know if I'll ultimately. I guess I'll start it off because it is the Mansmann special after all. First Absolutely. Fight on the card's always the Mansmann. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to bet this just because the odds may not make it sense to bet this. I mean, do we know what Juliana Miller is? Do we really know what she is yet? But then you're right. I mean, we know what the other fighter is. The other fighter is a tomato can. I mean, like you said, 1-4 in the UFC. This fight is clearly set up for Juliana Miller to go and sort of put on a performance. So, yeah, if you're going to bet it, there's only one side. Oh, you see the ticker down below. Killer Miller, I mean, minus 430. That's a lot of lumber to be laying in this one. But that's really the only side if you're going to play it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you there. Killer Miller has been nonstop monstrosity in the ring. I am a little bit concerned with her moving up in weight, and usually with these fighters, it either ends up hindering them or it ends up like bringing out the best. And considering we've seen a lot of good with Miller, her moving up in weight makes me wonder if there's something behind the scenes, maybe health-wise, that, is she going to be slower? Is this going to be more closely fought than than we're expecting? The only bet, even though the line hasn't come out yet for her finish, I think the only way you play this is a double chance for her to finish, and maybe you get some reduced odds. This is the line at minus 430. You bet it with an underdog and parlay it.
Yeah.
That way you could juice the dog. Because that's the only way. I mean, there's no logical sense in my head to play Veronica Macedo. I mean, she's almost in my opinion, she's on her way out the door. So,
this is a sacrifice fight. You know what I mean? Like, I think she was brought in to sort of be sacrificed to Juju. So,
right. All right, next fight, we got the Black Country Banger Herbert.
Is that really his name, Black Country Banger?
I swear to Christ.
Okay.
Coming up against Ludovic, Mr. Highlight Klein. Klein, 19-4 record. Herbert is 12-4. Herbert, slight underdog, plus 136. Mr. Highlight is minus 174. Just some quick notes. Herbert, 2-3 in the UFC. He, out of his 12 wins, 10 of them were finishes. All 4 times he lost were either due to knockout or submission. Out of those 10 finishes, 9 of them were knockouts. Mr. Highlight, he is 3-2 in the UFC. All 3 decisions he's ever had in the UFC. Yeah, sorry. He's had 16 finishes. The other 3 wins were decisions. Those all happened most recently in the UFC. Prior to his losing skid, though, he had 4 knockouts. This is a tale of 2 average guys, middle of the road. Which one of them is going to come out on top? Which one of them is going to ultimately be the better fighter and therefore the better bet? In my opinion here, in this kind of a toss-up situation, I'm actually going to lean towards the favorite in Mr. Highlight, and here's why. Looking at both these guys, Ludovic Klein has a lot more superior submission skills. He has more ground game. He has more ground control and takedown defense compared to Herbert. Herbert, in his last couple fights, he's actually struggled against the grapple and against the jiu-jitsu. And I just think in a fight that probably won't end up being a stand-up game, Ludovic Klein could honestly just take this to the mat for 5 minutes and just maintain control and just get the win in a decision. So my pick for this one is going to be the favorite with Klein. But I could see Herbert coming in with a knockout early if it starts going to a sprawl and brawl. But Mansmann, do you have any other comments on this one?
No, I'm my handicap similar to yours. It's a toss-up fight, and you're sort of looking in these toss-up fights for especially in, we know the UFC. It's 15 minutes basically to decide the fight. You're looking for the one X factor, and I think Klein will have the ability to control where the fight's located. Not a big Herbert fan, to tell you the truth. Not really been impressed with some of his wins. I don't think he's a very good fighter. Obviously, they're trotting him out for the London card. But, if I had to pick, not one I'm really going to be rushing to get to the window on. But, I would take Klein in this one if I had to choose.
Gotcha. All right, on to the third fight. It's the second women's fight on the card. Juliana JoJo Wood going 15-8, minus 188 favorite. Or sorry, now it's 184. Going up against Luana Carolina, who is 8-3, 4-2 in the UFC. For those of you who don't remember Luana Dread Carolina, she was the girl that got beat the shit out of by Molly McCann at the last London fight card. Not the first one, but the second one with reverse spinning elbow in the third.
Yeah, she got spinning elbowed in the face and went night-night.
And now she's going back for More damage. Back to the scene of the crime, I take it. Okay, I'm not a fan of JoJo Wood. I think she's just, again, kind of like with the Veronica Macedo argument. JoJo just seems like she's ready to be kicked out of the UFC. She's on her way out. We've seen enough of what she can do. But Luana Dread Carolina, I'm not impressed with her either. So do you have a spot? Do you have a take with this one?
Yeah, I like Carolina. I think this could be JoJo Woods lost 3 in a row. She's getting up there. I think she's 36 now. Doesn't it seem like a retirement fight? I mean, I just Carolina, yeah, she did lose to Molly McCann, which, I mean, no offense, Molly McCann is not very good. Although that loss to Erin Blanchfield looks a lot better than it did maybe a few months ago, so I'll give her that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carolina did beat Lupe Godinez in the fight before Molly McCann. So, you know, there is some decent, like you said, 4-2 in the UFC. So she has ability. She's not a tomato can. And I just don't know JoJo Wood.
She's 7-8 in the UFC, 1-4 in her last 5. 9 decisions. Her last win was against Jessica I. And she most recently got submitted by fucking Alexa Grasso. Surprise, surprise. You know.
I mean, it's just, I'm not saying that you're right. Like when you look at Wood's last couple of fights, she's fought some decent opponents, but I just think it's 1-4 in your last 5, and you know you've lost 3 straight now, and it's just looking to be like, is this the retirement fight? I mean, is this it? Is this the end for JoJo?
If this isn't the retirement fight, I mean, let's be real. Unless Carolina lays an egg or pulls a William Knight and just doesn't do anything but dances around the cage taking kicks, I think this is weird for an underdog spot for Carolina. I wonder if it's because she's going to London, because she was knocked out the way she was, because she was essentially just beaten for 3 rounds and then.
Yeah, but is JoJo Wood does JoJo Wood have any boxing? Does she have anything left?
I don't know. I don't know what she has, to be honest with you. Like, just looking at this on one hand, JoJo had the better competition, but she still lost. Carolina lost to an up-and-comer in the women's division. But I think we've had this argument, too, in the women's division, where the differences in skill between the men's weight classes and the women's weight classes are widely different. In the women's division, you either are a body, and you honestly either stat pad or record pad, or you're middle of the field, you're a gatekeeper, you'll be ranked, or you're like a championship caliber fighter, and there's just no in between.
Yeah.
And I know that like sounds familiar with the men's, but there's a lot of divisions where there's a lot of good fighters, and any of those ranks could be changed at any time. But, you know, with Carolina, with JoJo, I think JoJo's done. That's the end of my rant. I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. So that's why, yeah, I would Carolina as an underdog. It's dangerous to bet an underdog because, I mean, we've seen it before. The UFC has been heavy favorite favoring the favorites for, I guess, a few weeks now. But yeah, that would be the first underdog I think is live, is Carolina in this fight.
Gotcha. All right, next fight. We got Jake White Kong Hadley versus Malcolm X Gordon. Malcolm Gordon plus 300. Hadley minus 400. Gordon is plus 300. Jake Hadley, 9-1 record, minus 350. I already said that. He's 2-1 in the UFC. He's had 7 finishes and 2 second-round subs. Malcolm Gordon, 2-3 in the UFC. He's had 11 finishes. 3 of his last 5 ended within the first round. Mansmann, give us your take on this one.
This is a biased sort of play. I'm not a big fan of Malcolm Gordon. I mean, all credit to Malcolm X Gordon, but I don't know. He's just a guy. Like, Jake Hadley's career seems to be going sort of in an upward trajectory. And Malcolm Gordon's like a gatekeeper type guy. So again, don't really like, I don't know, minus 400 seems a bit high. Uh, but
It went up from minus 350
but
at like around opening, but
I think it makes sense. I mean, I think Jake Hadley's just the better fighter. Malcolm Gordon again. I don't dislike the guy like personally, but he's the gatekeeper.
it's a flyweight, and it's crazy to see a flyweight get 7 knockouts. Normally in that division, it's usually submissions or decisions. Yeah. But yeah, my play here is it would be Hadley by knockout. Oddly enough, and it's crazy because Malcolm Gordon, he's gotten to the point of being a gatekeeper and just being a guy who's around to fight these new up and comers, where he's a real UFC fighter. You're coming in from Cage Warriors or LFA, or you were Dana White's Contender Series guy. All right, here's a real opponent. Let's see what you can do now. That's Malcolm X Gordon. I just think Jake Hadley has the quicker, faster, stronger hands. And I think for Malcolm Gordon, who's not afraid to get into the clinch and get into the box and throw a couple strikes, I could see this being an early first-round knockout. This one could be over early.
Yeah. And Gordon's susceptible to the knockout. He's taken a few knockouts in his career, so he's susceptible to that.
Absolutely. All right, getting into the second to last fight of the early prelims, we got Christian Leroy Duncan, 7-0, coming from Cage Warriors as the middleweight champ, coming in to fight middleweight against Dusko Thunder Todorovic, 12-3 record, 4-3 in the UFC. Todorovic is a plus. What is he now? A plus 164. Duncan minus 205. This is my probably biased, but this is my system play. Any Cage Warriors fighter coming home to London on his UFC debut, you need to take him. But that is my normal system play. Here's my concern. A lot of Duncan's wins came by early finish. Todorovic has 5 UFC fights that did end via knockout. He is 0-1 as an underdog. But when it comes to Duncan, a lot of times in his career, when it's gone the distance, it has actually not gone his way. He is undefeated as a pro, but if you look at his amateur record, 11 fights went to decision. He only won 5 of those. And my concern here is, if you're Todorovic, do you just keep the distance? Do you maintain control? Do you kill the clock? And do you make it so that you stay in control of this fight? Because I think if this goes over the 1.5 or even 2.5 limit timeline, Todorovic might be in a spot where he could win this. So I would say if you go for Todorovic, it would be a live bet situation. You may want to see how it's going. But again, system play, Cage Warriors champion coming to the UFC in opening debut. Hard to fade that.
Yeah, I will say one of the dangers when you have fights like this is normally you like to take the newbie who has basically been running through his opponents, pretty much every time out. You want to take them against like tomato can guys. And Dusko Todorovic, nothing he's like, he's not a top 15 guy, but he's like a solid fighter. I mean, he has a winning record in the UFC. Like you said, he'll go, he could survive, he could wrestle a little bit. Like it's not, you don't necessarily have a guy who's just there to get killed. So that's what makes it a little dangerous, especially when you're looking at sort of, guys who are going to be minus 200 and above. Makes it a dangerous play. Now, I like you said, I don't know, Cage Warrior guy going to London. I don't know if you could back Todorovic, as an underdog, but I'd be hesitant to take the favorite here just because, yeah, this is the live bet fight for me. I'm going to keep an eye on this, and the longer it goes, the more I'm probably going to lean to Todorovic, but obviously we'll watch the fight. Especially if he could get like a takedown early or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But again, like kind of like the last fight with Hadley and Malcolm X. Malcolm X is a guy, not necessarily a gatekeeper, but he's the guy who brings in the newcomers and says, let's see what you got. This is a situation where it's like, okay, let's see what you got, but actually here's some real competition. This isn't like Muhammad Makayev where he's just going to finish him in the first round for 2 fights. This is a guy who actually could like test everything that Hadley's going to come in with. So I'm very hesitant to take Leroy Duncan as well. Todorovic he's 12-3. He's not necessarily like the biggest loser. I know he's 4-3 in the UFC, but the guy was like a really big up-and-comer back in the day. And I think he's still got a long way to go. I don't think his career is over by any stretch. So that one I'm very intrigued by. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, that'll be a fun fight to watch. I don't know if anything, it'll be a live bet if the first round goes against Todorovic and he can win the second round. Don't you have a feeling that if he could get the takedown in round 2, that he could like get a 3-round decision? That might be the way to go.
Yep, absolutely. All right, moving on to headliner for the early prelims. It's Lerone the Miracle Murphy at -176 going up against Gabriel Muscatino Santos, who also holds an undefeated record of 10-0. Murphy 11-0-1. Santos coming in on short notice for his UFC debut after Murphy's opponent, and I can't remember his name at the top of my head. I'll have to look it up while we're on here. Had a bad knee injury, pretty much cut it really, really bad. Had to pull out. One of these guys' records is going to be tarnished. Both are going in a featherweight. Murphy -184, Santos +142. Murphy 3-0-1 in the UFC, undefeated all around, pro and amateur, 7 knockouts, 4 decisions. Santos, though, he's coming in hot. Albeit it's short notice in his debut, he come in with back-to-back finishes. Mm-hmm. Does Santos stand a chance here, given the circumstances?
Well, I mean, he did get finishes in LFA, so...
I mean, I got those too in UFC 4 on PS5.
I was going to say, doesn't that remind you of like when you had to go and you're trying to get in the UFC, you're fighting in LFA. But no, I mean, at least it's like an organization. I mean, you look at his other fights, I couldn't tell you where he Future FC or whatever. I couldn't tell you, where he's fighting. It's, tough, short notice fight, tough. And Lerone Murphy is coming off a big layoff, hasn't fought since 21, I think. So he's had a lot of time to prepare for, his return to the octagon. And, tough spot for Santos. Always dangerous. You never really know these undefeated, prospects. But I think the difference is Murphy, like you said, Murphy, 3 fights in the UFC. He has UFC experience against the guy coming off short notice who has had 2 fights in LFA. I think you got to lean.
Yeah,
Murphy. You got to lean Murphy.
Yeah, I'm leaning Murphy here and the fact that it's only 184. I'm surprised it didn't go hot. It's down to 176. It was 184. I'm surprised it's not going the opposite direction, closer to 1-2. But my best bet there would be for him to get a finish because these guys do sprawl. They do brawl. They do like to throw the haymakers. This is another headliner I think could end early. Both I think are going to look to get the it's a $75K bonus now, right? For performance.
I don't know. Is it? I thought. Maybe a pay-per-view 75.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's what it is. Can't you see these guys trying to go in for the 75 grand bonus? This is the kind of fight that I like when I look to see who wants to get that. This is the fight I see. One of these guys is going to come out.
Maybe guy on short notice, got nothing to lose. Why not? Yeah.
All right. That's it for the early prelims. They do start 1:00 Eastern time. Early start here. Moving into about 3:00, maybe 3:30. Who the fuck knows, depending on how these fights go. On to the prelim card. Only 4 fights. Let's kick it off. London, England's bad boy, Muhammad Makayev, -900 favorite down to minus 850 now on FanDuel. Going up against Rafael Philo. I don't know how the hell you say it. Philo coming in at a plus 540. Makayev undefeated. We've seen what he does in London. I wasn't necessarily impressed with his last fight, even though he did win by an easy submission. The one before that, I think, was a close decision fight, was even closer. I wonder, like, when the UFC is going to give this guy, like, a real legitimate opponent here.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, man. You come off a Contender Series win, and then you got to fight Makayev, who's basically like Bo Nickel and, another guy that the UFC is pushing. I mean, I'm not betting this fight. I mean,
he's Khabib if he went to London. No, I mean, he's from Dagestan.
Don't even. Khabib, come on. Khabib.
Well, no, Khabib stayed in Dagestan. This guy went to London. That's the difference.
But Khabib was a lot better than this guy.
I mean, I'll give you that. Makayev, number 12 ranked flyweight. He's 3-0. 3 of the last 4 did end in submission. Philo, like you mentioned, coming off Contender Series. He's 14-2. He has 13 finishes. He's on a 5-fight win streak, but kind of like
I'll be happy, but not what my
money. Yeah, I don't think I'll be betting my money here. Kind of like we said with Juliana Miller. This is a 8.5, a 1 to 8.5. This is you need to parlay this with a big underdog, or you need to parlay this with a couple close guys and maybe get your value. But yeah, I can't throw my money. Not when it's in London. I do want to see Makayev away from London. I want to see him in Vegas. I want to see him in hostile territory and see if he can do the same thing.
Yeah, that would be nice. But he's a London draw. People like him. At least we're not seeing Paddy the fraud.
Paddy the fatty. Paddy the Baddy.
Paddy the puppy.
I'll say this, just to get off topic real quick. I was like, I was like a big Paddy supporter. I was a fan. I thought he was going to do all these things. I didn't like how he conducted, not only like how he's been conducting himself after that win, by essentially being Dana White's little fucking puppet.
I mean, but like Jared Flash Gordon, and you shouldn't even have won the fight, and you're like,
you beat him, and you beat the Monkey King, Jordan Levitt.
Jordan Levitt got a knockout. Can you fucking believe that?
I fucking saw that. But like Jordan Levitt's no scrub either. Like we understand, like, okay, the way he finished him, he's kind of a real deal. You have to take him seriously.
Yeah, he's at least a fighter, but yeah.
But Paddy, like, I don't know, man. Just the way after that fight, how he's just like kind of just acting like an asshole at this point. If you ask me.
You're not Conor McGregor. You haven't done anything, dude. Like,
no, not at all.
Beat somebody good, then come back.
Well, I mean, he did go and get ankle surgery. So whoever he comes back against, I hope it's against a ranked opponent.
Somebody legitimate. And I'm not saying Jared, but Jared Gordon's a guy. Jordan Levitt's a guy. No offense. Paddy's talking about like how great he is. Like you want to be the best, you gotta like fight against the best. And until you do that, I don't want to hear you. You know what? The reason why what's his name? Smash guy. What the hell is his name? I'm having a brain fart here.
I know.
Not Makayev. I have Makayev on the mind. The guy, what is his name?
I smash. I kill people. I smash.
I smash. What the hell is his name? This is embarrassing. Oh my god! Edit this.
You know what? We have the technology. Hang on.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say Makayev, but that's not what he is. Kamayev.
Yeah. That's it.
You know what I mean? He goes, I smash people. And then he gets a top 15 fighter and he smashes him. And then he fights a war against Gilbert Burns and wins. Like, you know what I mean? He's going, and eventually he passes every test with flying colors. He doesn't basically lose a 3-round decision to Jared Gordon, get a lucky judge's decision, and then chirp about how great he is. Like he fought wars. Like, you can say I hate the guy's guts, but you know what? He says, I'm going to go out and smash, and then he smashes.
Well, it's the John Jones thing. It's like hate John Jones all you want, call him whatever you want, but whenever that bell rings, when Dean says, "Let's, sir, are you ready?" I mean, John Jones is just going to win.
He's not all talk. He beat Ciro Gani when he took him out. Like, that's it. I mean,
but anyway,
yeah.
Is that the kind of fight we're going to see with Mikhaev? Is he just going to go in? Is he just going to do what he wants? And I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if he wins. That's the end of this fight. I'm not going to be surprised if Mikhaev loses. But he is a minus 850, so proceed with caution betting against that, because usually in the UFC, there's a big reason.
Yeah.
All right. Second fight on the prelim cards. We got Sam Patterson versus Yanal Ashmov. Patterson boasts a 10-1-1 record. He's a minus 300 at this moment on FanDuel. Yanal Ashmov is a plus 235. Currently holds a 6-0 record. Ashmov making his UFC debut here. On top of Patterson, even though he did have a win in Dana White's Contender Series, Ashmov is 1-0 in PFL, for whatever that's worth. So we got 2 UFC debuts. One of them is home in London. The other guy's stepping up. Mansmann, who do you got?
Yeah, sure. Patterson, 2 reasons. I think he's for better competition, and he has a home field advantage. I mean, in these fights, it's hard. We're not really following guys outside the UFC, but I think he's, I think he's fought better competition, has had more fight experience, and like you said, the one guy, he has one fight in PFL. So yeah, I'll go with the favorite. I'll take the market here, and if I had, gotta go with Patterson.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Another key note too is Patterson is 6 inches taller than his opponent here for what I want to say is a lightweight fight. Yeah, this is a lightweight fight. The dude is 6'3". This is going to be severe reach disadvantage on top of severe disadvantage on the ground. Patterson could win by sub. He could win by knockout. He's got 9 finishes. 5 of them are the knockouts. 4 of them are submissions. I don't think it's going to be if Patterson wins. I think it will be when. If you could get this at over under 1.5, I would be tempted to play the over, only because I do think that Ashmov does come in with some skills. But we saw this in the opening fight with on the last pay-per-view in the early prelims with the one guy coming over from PFL. Like, there's a reason he was over in PFL. There's a reason he wasn't in UFC. And there were moments you saw that. So that's my only concern as far as Ashmov goes. It's you're stepping up to the UFC. Are you going to pull a Michael Chandler, or is there a reason you weren't here to begin with?
Yeah, I didn't realize 6-inch height disadvantage. Yeah, I'm liking Patterson more and more in that fight. That might be a bet, actually.
Yeah, Patterson by submission, I think, is plus money if you want to go after it. But no, my play here is Patterson. Take him again. I lean over 1.5 if that's the line. I like Patterson by submission. You could probably get knocked out at more money, but I don't know if it'll get to that point. This seems like it's going to go to the ground because of the height disadvantage. Kind of favors that situation to begin with. I have no other thoughts if you want to move on to the next one.
Yeah, on to the next one.
We're flying through these. All right, we got Chris, the problem Duncan, going up against Venezuelan fighter Morales. Morales and Duncan, we're looking at a pick'em fight here. It's the first one on the card, probably the only one on the card. Duncan minus 106, Morales minus 114. Chris Duncan, 1-1 in the UFC. Both were Dana White's Contender Series fights. 8 of his last 9 fights did end by knockout or TKO. 3 of his last 5 ended in the second round. Omar Morales, he's 4-3 in the UFC, one of those being from Contender Series. His last 2 ended with second round finishes. He's lost 3 of his last 4. 6 in a row have gone over the 2.5 round mark, if you want to pay attention to the over-unders there. kind of weird for a card that has a lot of heavy favorites. You tend to lean in there. You tend to look for dogs where you can. I liked Carolina earlier at the early prelims. This is my underdog pick for the prelim card. I actually like Omar Morales to get this one. This to me is Omar.
He's the favorite, though. Isn't he the favorite?
It's a pick 'em. But I think
120 to minus 106.
Oh yeah, no, you're. Let me see. Maybe I got that back.
He has to look at the look.
Morales is -1, so he is the favorite. Shit. Okay, maybe it flipped.
My underdog pick of the week. My underdog pick of the card is he's the actual favorite.
I think the odds flipped because it was close to a pick 'em. That's my fault, guys.
We need a live here. You keep talking. I'll look live. Maybe I'll save you.
Thank you. Anyways, no, I'm going with Morales here, despite the fact that he's on the losing skid. Here's why. I think this is going to be a fight that comes down to experience. Chris Duncan had to get 2 tries to get through past contender series. Omar Morales, I'm not saying he's the best guy out there, but what I will say is he has fought some competition out here. I'm trying to 2002. Just knows how to take control of the ring. He knows how to extend the fight and keep himself out of trouble. Oh, he got knocked out by Eros Medic last year. And I want to say his last win was against Shane Young by decision, and that was at UFC 260. But bottom line, Chris Duncan, this is like his UFC debut, but let's be real. This guy hasn't really fought anybody. He's pretty much fought tomato cans, and he even lost against one of them. So, this when you get a tough pick 'em, I'm taking the veteran.
The numbers are still the same. So your underdog pick of the week's actually a favorite. So, or your pick of the prelims is the favorite.
Okay, well, you know.
Yeah. So, question here is really, what do you make of Omar Morales' losses? Because he's had good losses against guys like Jonathan Pierce, Giga Chikadze. He fought Giga Chikadze and lost.
Those were fights where I think if he was a decent fighter worthy of staying in the UFC after this contract, I think he would have had more success against these guys, like truth be told. But he has fought like halfway decent opponents in his division, and he has the experience in the league itself compared to this guy who's, like I've said, he's fought tomato cans. I can't tell you a good name that Chris Duncan has beaten. And this is going to be like his big UFC debut, and it's a pick.
He needed 2 chances to get in the UFC because he lost in the contender series the first time. Given the veteran or given the rookie, and you're telling me they're at about the same, same odds, I'll lean the veteran. Yeah, I'd slightly lean the veteran. One concern though, if you look at Morales, he's been fighting primarily at featherweight before the last fight, and this fight's at lightweight. So is there going to be a discrepancy in terms of power? This is not a play for me. I'm not interested in either of these fighters, but yeah, I think you lean Morales based on the experience and who he's fought compared to Duncan.
Well, I also think he's lost. I think I said he lost 4 of his last 5, or he's lost 3 of his last 4. The guy needs a victory. This is the kind of fight where I think he needs to go out and either go out on a shield or come back with it. And this is a fight. I think even if he wins by decision, he shows Dana like, hey, I'm still a guy in this league. I still got a lot to prove. Let's renew the contract. If this is a contract fight, I don't know if it is. But, Morales, too, he likes to play the long game, where Duncan, I could see, considering 3 of his last 5 did end in the second round. All of the other ones ended sooner, I think. Is this going to go the distance, and is Morales just going to, keep control the whole time?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe the odds will flip, or maybe the odds will actually show who the real favorite is come closer to fight time.
Hoping.
But
he's hoping. He
I'm
wants that
hoping.
underdog pick.
I do. I need one, man. Come on. I need another one.
Carolina. That's the dog pick right there. You heard it here first.
Do we really want to do that? Do we really want to do that?
You know me, women's fights, man. I'm telling you, I good record on women's fights.
All right, that's true. All right, prelim headliner Jack Tank Shore coming up in featherweight. He's going up against Mansmann Americani, aka Mr. Finland himself. 17-8, Mr. Finland. Mr. I lost 4 of my last 5. Finland, 3-5 since 2019. Jack Shore, 16-1, ranked number, making his featherweight debut, but he gets the 15 rank.
I mean,
not sure how to make of that. But he's 5-1 in the UFC.
To some other good fighters in that division, but
yeah, 5-1 in the UFC. He actually, his last fight was his first loss. He lost to Ricky Simone by submission. So this is the headliner. Usually this is my bread and butter as far as picks go. Kind of the same logic as the other fights. Mansmann's out the door. One foot's already out. Another foot's like right there. And a guy who has never fought at featherweight but has been quoted as saying he feels a lot better if featherweight are done, has no issues cutting weight, saying he's ready to go, and he gets the number 15. And he's the big favorite. And this guy's a fucking killer. I'm not going to get cute here and even try to find an angle where Mansmann can make sense. I couldn't find one in my handicaps. I guess the question is, does Jack Shore win by finish? Does he win by decision? How quick? How soon? I mean, I don't know what else there is to say in this situation because it is such a big favorite, but I think there's a big reason why.
Yeah, Jack Shore is a killer. Ricky Simone, as we know, is no joke, and Murakami, he's not good. This is one of those sort of highlight fights where, they're definitely promoting Jack Shore. The odds, you wish they were less than -500, but I think there's a reason for that.
So the additional bets have now come out for Shore versus Americani. To get Jack Shore via finish, double chance, -135.
I mean,
to throw in points with a knockout, it's -155. Submission or points, it's -145. So goes to show you, like, when you think about it, it goes to show you that they have, like, the books have the same idea I do. This guy's gonna win. It's just how.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to think, what's Americani I'm looking. Yeah, well, been knocked out 3 times. 4 fights went to decision. So yeah, not really that tough fight to bet in terms of how it's going to end. But I mean, Americani is maybe knockout points because he's only been submitted once. So maybe you think Americani will lose that way. What was knockout in points again? Double chance?
-155.
Yeah, that might be the way to go. If you want to bet Shore, but want to get a little less in the way of that juice, that vigorish.
I was going to say, Americani does have submission wins as back as 2020, 2019. But he did get knocked out by Shane Burgos.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have high hopes for Americani in this fight. So.
I don't either, and this is already looking like another big favorite situation. But Yeah, I mean, as far as headliners go, I mean, like I said, it's going to be how, not if. I'll probably end up playing the double chance, and I'll probably end up going knockout or points. But I'm trying to see if there's round props. Let's see what the round prop says, because that also can tell me something. They don't. Oh, here we go. Time props. Not round props. Time props. Looks like fight to go the distance is plus 160. No is minus 210. Fight to start round 2 is minus 260. Yes. Minus 110 for the fight to start round 3. So looking like 2.5 is going to be the line, in my opinion. But yeah, maybe a knockout or points will be the way to go as far as that fight goes.
Yeah, so on to the main card, right?
We're on to the main card. And
I have a couple of dingers I like in this one.
All right, I'll do the intro for the first one. We're already starting off hot. And let's get the main card up. Here we go. It is Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream, minus 290 versus Roman Dolidze at plus 225, ranked number 9. I want to say, hopefully I got that right. Yep, he's ranked number 9. Marvin Vettori, 8-4-1 in the UFC, 3-2 in his last 5. All 5 fights did go to decision. Fun fact, though, he is 8-0-1 as a UFC favorite. Dolidze, 6-1 in the UFC. He has 10 finishes under his belt with a 12-1 record. 7 knockouts, 3 subs, 3 TKOs in a row for this guy. Monty Mansmann, you said you had some dingers. What do you got here?
Yeah, strangely enough, you have your best bet, Roman Dolidze, plus 225.
Wow, you're fading Vettori.
But it's just a numbers play. I mean, when you look at it, Marvin Vettori, I get it. He's fought the best of the best, and he hasn't necessarily looked great doing it. And Roman Dolidze, for him to be a 2-1 underdog in this fight, I just don't understand. Like, I get it. It's sort of one of those things where you have the up-and-comer who hasn't fought the best of the best against the guy who has. And we saw last week that didn't work with Jalen Turner. But, again, it's just a pure numbers play. Like, why is he an over 2-1 favorite against Vettori? I know Vettori – I'm not saying Vettori is a slouch, but it's not like Roman Dolidze is just a nobody. I mean, he's been killing people, 3 knockouts in a row. You gave the numbers. I mean, he's been finishing people. He should not be a 2-1 underdog, and thus, the numbers don't make sense to me. Maybe it's a trap, but I take Dolidze 2-1 underdog.
This is actually we're probably going to go heads up on, because I actually – for the most part, when I was handicapping this, I was thinking along the same lines you were. I think this is a trap play, because Vettori, when you look at Vettori, he's lost to Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya twice. That's it. He had that bullshit fight with Paulo Acosta. I'm trying to think who the fuck else has.
Okay, so let's see. Before that, Kevin Holland, unanimous decision. Jack Hermanson, unanimous decision. Carl Roberts.
Which Jack's like a... Yeah, I mean... Oh, hang on. I got to get rid of the canceled bouts here. But yeah, 5 decisions in a row.
They just knocked Jack Hermanson out in round 2.
No, I'm not saying this is nothing against Dolidze. My thinking is this: we give Israel Adesanya a lot of crap when it comes to this type of thing. Vettori doesn't really play to win for the knockout or the subs. He plays to win for points, and he plays to get the victory by any means necessary. And he's let's be honest, the fight against Robert Whittaker should have been way more exciting than what we got. The fight against Israel Adesanya both times should have been a lot more exciting. like Vettori doesn't go and get these crazy knockouts. He just ends up controlling the rings. And I just think he has enough skill to keep Dolidze at a distance and refer to the wrestling, where I think Vettori does hold the advantage. I think that's why he's a big favorite here. I will say this, though, and this is what concerns me. I think if you're Vettori and you're the number 4, you can't win a boring-ass decision here. You need a finish if you actually want a chance at getting another title shot. Because nobody's going to want to pay for Marvin Vettori versus Alex Pereira if Vettori goes 3 rounds by not doing much or doesn't get a knockout, or at least like give us some flashpoint for us to look back to be like excited about. And that's the thing with Vettori. Like, he's the number 4, but he's like the most boring number 4 I've ever seen in a while.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering if he rose too fast and Dolidze is just better.
Dolidze, I mean, don't get me wrong, Dolidze could win this. I'm not discrediting your handicap on this. I think this fight should be closer. I'm with you there. I don't understand why Dolidze is a 2-1, almost a 2.5-1. But the more I think about it, Vettori isn't a scrub either. I think there's a reason he's number 4. And I just think this is the kind of fight where if Vettori really wants to make a statement win, he's going to come out and do it here. And I think, I'm not saying he'll get a knockout, but I think if Vettori does end up with a finish in this fight, he'll get another title shot. I think if this goes to decision, I'm not saying his career's over, but I think it'll be a while before he gets another title shot.
He will be a gatekeeper. Our favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be like a I don't know. Like, let's name all the gatekeepers we can think of.
Kevin Holland,
Kevin Holland, Justin Gaethje. Oh wait.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Justin. Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah. Angela Hill.
Brian Kelleher. Oh my God, there's so many in the UFC.
Alexander Volkov,
these guys who fight all the time. Derek Lewis, although Derek Lewis, he's one knockout away from being retired. That poor guy.
Yeah, that's
I like my guy. I like my guy, the Black Beast, baby. But yeah, oh man.
Yeah, it's looking shameful, but yeah, I'm gonna go heads up with you on this one. I'm gonna lean in with Vettori here, but not my best bet, not my favorite one by any means as far as confidence goes. But don't get me wrong, I'll be cheering for Dolidze. Like, I fucking can't stand Vettori. I hope he loses, but
yeah, I'm tired of him too.
All right, on to the I don't know what you want to call it, the women's premier fight, I guess, on the pay-per-view.
Something, I guess.
It is something.
I mean, they need people. They need to give people time to sober up, I guess. So,
all right, we got Jennifer Maia, number 8 ranked women's flyweight, coming in as a slight underdog. She is plus 142 at the moment. She's going up against Casey O'Neill, who is ranked number 12, and her odds are currently minus 176. So speaking of sobering up and fights, I can't believe we're going to probably end up paying money to see. Why is Casey O'Neill a favorite?
Well, 9-0, and Jennifer Maia is not great. She's getting older, not getting any younger. I mean, I don't know, man. It ain't a good fight. Like,
I'm not excited for this one. I don't really have much to say. It's
beating Roxanne Modafferi by split decision is not something to be happy about.
I'm gonna try to look up something for Casey O'Neill just so I can justify her as another underdog.
Well, no, Casey O'Neill's the favorite, but yeah, she.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
By split decision. I mean, am I supposed to be excited about that? No.
I mean, is this the gatekeeper fight for Casey O'Neill where if she wins this, she might be the next real big deal in the division where she'll get some tougher competition? Or if she loses, we just have another boring women's fight.
This could be a bad fight, man. I can't bet this.
Yeah, literally, it's her second UFC fight, and it's. I mean, maybe she'll retire Jennifer Maia. She retired Roxanne. I mean,
it's just so hard because you see, Jennifer Maia was going down. I would have her on the JoJo Wood trajectory, but she just beat Marina Moroz, who is not horrible. Like that's actually like a
no.
scalp that is not a bad fighter. So yeah, I can't justify a bet on this fight. I don't know. It's like the weird sort of. I don't really know why this fight is here. Seems a little out of place. But
You would think Makayev would get this spot, considering he's opened up 2 prelims at London, won both in spectacular fashion.
I know. I'm like trying to think.
You're wondering why this isn't the opener for the pay-per-view. You're wondering why Vittori's opening it up. Like it's a weird spot to say the least.
Well, maybe they want Vittori to open it up to get people like interested because that's going to be a much better fight than this one.
Yeah, I mean Jennifer Maia, she lost to Valentina. She beat Joanne Wood. She beat Jessica I. Like, I'm supposed to be impressed, but I'm not. I mean,
no. She's old too. She's 34, which I mean, okay, that's not old like old, but
it's old in terms of like fighter.
Game. It's old for the fight game, yeah.
Yeah, I lean Casey O'Neill, but not confidently.
Yeah, agreed.
Like that could be a live odds. I watch it. I see who I think is winning. I see what's going on. I just rebet it. All right, let's get to a more I think this will be an interesting one. Potential fight of the night opportunity. We got Gunny Nelson coming up. He is fighting Brian Barberena. Barberena is a plus 300 here. Gunnar Nelson minus 400 from what isn't he from Iceland? But he's he's a jiu-jitsu specialist. Barberena plus 300. Barberena, I want to say, was coming off a loss, but I don't exactly remember. What do you think to go down here?
Yeah, he lost to Rafael Dos Anjos. Brian Barberena.
Gotcha.
Oh, were you waiting for me? My thoughts?
Go ahead.
Okay. My turn. All right. Gunnar Nelson makes a lot of sense when you look at the sort of competition he's fought and his skills. It's dangerous, though, to take him at such a big – because we know Barberena is the type of guy who's – when you mention gatekeepers, he's one of those guys that Dana White loves because he's willing to sort of get in a battle, and he'll scrap and he'll fight for 15 minutes and – he could go balls to the walls and have an exciting fight. So that's what makes it dangerous with Gunnar Nelson because, again, he's fought some good competition, but he's lost against good competition. So, tough fight.
I mean,
fought in a year.
He fought Takashi Sato and won that by decision.
Well, 30-26 across the board, so.
Well, he won it effectively. But I mean, are you impressed by Takashi? My concern, my concern is, like, if Gunny takes this to the ground for 3 rounds, he's obviously going to win. I don't doubt that. Is Brian Barberena going to let him do that? Or is he just going to go caveman and is Bam Bam going to go through and not make him go night-night?
Could he sting him? Could he sting him in the first round and then he can't take him down?
That's the crazy thing. Brian Barberena would be like a value play. I wouldn't put a lot of units on it. I'd probably throw 1 to see if it sticks.
Sprinkle, yeah.
I would sprinkle Barberena. I actually think there's a good chance he could come out with a strong victory here. Both these guys, like, I'm not saying they're gatekeepers, but they're like borderline. Like, they're not ranked, but I think whoever wins this fight might be fighting a ranked opponent next, or they'll be in contention for like top 15.
Yeah, I
But
see
yeah,
that being like a fight of the night potentially.
yeah, I would go under 1.5. I would go under 1.5 here. Ghani by submission or Bam Bam by knockout. I think those are the only two value plays. I'm not sure if they're even up yet. I'll take a look. I mean, Barberina at a plus 300 is fine, but I don't remember the last time Barberina had a freaking submission.
Not in a while.
Barberina. Brian Barberina. Here we go. Standby. So, method of victory. Here we go. Gunnar Nelson by submission is plus 105 instead of minus 400. Brian Barberina by knockout, you're looking at a plus 600. So, yeah, maybe sprinkle a little bit on each and see if you can get something to stick and just try to enjoy the fight. This wouldn't be like, unless you are heavily swayed into Barberina, I don't think putting of minus 400 money line on Gunny makes sense.
Unless
you double chance it.
Or heavily intoxicated.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I'm looking here. Decision, knockout, 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 decisions, knockout. One submission. And then Brian, that was back in 2016 against Sage Northcutt.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. So, yeah, long time ago.
A knockout, or that was the double chance. I mean, it can't be. Plus 400, so you're getting an extra 10 to 1 odds.
Yeah, extra $1.
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, like if you're swayed and you want to do a sprinkle, like that would be the move. If you
like I said, he hasn't gotten a submission in 7 years. So, yeah, I mean.
Now, now would you be concerned if Gunny takes him to the ground and then Barberina has to try to do some ground game?
Yeah, but
I don't think Barberina has it. But
you really think Gunny's going to get submitted? I don't know, man.
No.
That's unlikely. Yeah.
I doubt it. No, Gunny gets knocked out or Barberina taps. That's the only way this fight is. Unless it goes to decision, which would be, to be honest, I think that would be a shocker.
It would be Gunny a decision. But yeah, I think that's because I think Barberina tries to get up and then puts himself in a position to be submitted, if that's the case.
Yep. That's where I'm at here.
But yeah,
not a favorite underdog, but
yeah, agreed.
All right. We're into the co-main. I'll introduce it. I'll let you take the reins. I have some opinions I'm going to withhold for now. It is the number 3 ranked overall lightweight Justin Gaethje as a plus 195 going against the number 6 lightweight Rafael Fiziev, who's a minus 230.
I'm not.
Gaethje is plus money.
I mean,
am I missing something?
Well, you'll probably disagree. I'm just not a big Gaethje guy. I don't know, man. I don't know. You look at it's, you sort of look at what Fiziev has done. He's been killing people. That's why he's the favorite. He's won, I think, 6, 7 in a row. He's been killing people. Gaethje, I mean, he's fought again. It seems like this is the moral of this card. There's a lot of people who fought like the best of the best, and the question is whether or not that experience is going to take over compared to sort of, the person who's the up and comer who's been killing people. I mean, I think this is sort of a play based on what you think Gaethje is. Is Gaethje really a good guy who's sort of, run into buzzsaws in Khabib and Charles Oliveira? Or do you think that he's really maybe not the best thing in the world, and a guy like Fiziev, who's won a bunch in a row, is just going to finish him? I'd have to lean Fiziev just because I think that Gaethje is sort of overrated. I'm not a big Gaethje fan. The Michael Chandler win doesn't impress me all that much. And like I said, I think Fiziev is killing people, and it sort of matches my other handicap. I've been big on sort of the up and comer who's going up against the person with experience and sort of fighting big people. So it's kind of just consistent that I would go with Fiziev here.
I gotcha. God, I guess I just don't understand. Kind of like your handicap from earlier. Why is Gaethje close to a 2-1 dog? Shouldn't the odds be like a little bit closer? Like 1.5? Like Gaethje, don't get me wrong, like he lost to Khabib. He had a 3-round banger with Chandler, who, let's be honest, I think we're going to get a mirror fight with Fiziev. Fiziev loves to get in there too. He likes to stand. He has no issues getting in close. Fiziev, I will say, I think does have the wrestling advantage. I don't know if that's the case, and Fiziev has been killing everybody, but this just seems like the ultimate test for Fiziev if he wants to get a title shot. Yeah. I think the same, but I think in that logic, the same could go for Gaethje. If Gaethje really wants another championship run for a third time's the charm, he has to win. He has to knock this guy out. He can't make him tap. He can't go to a decision. He has to knock this guy out. Otherwise, I think any hopes of a title are out the window for Gaethje. With that said, I mean, Gaethje's not a scrub. He's just not good at wrestling. And I don't think Fiziev is going to try and take him to the ground too much and choke him out. I think Fiziev's going to have the same MO as Gaethje. He's going to want to get in there and he's going to want to fucking brawl it out.
Yeah, stand and bang.
Stand and bang all day. And with that, I lean Gaethje. I think Gaethje has the stronger fist. I think he has more experience against tougher fighters in that kind of a fight. Whereas Fiziev, I think, truth be told, could he win? Sure. He's a favorite for the reason, but at the same time, I kind of want to go as far to say maybe this is the wrong guy favored in the situation. Is it because they're in London? If this was in London, are these the odds?
And I think, doesn't it make sense? Like you liked Vettori, you would like Gaethje. I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Well, I mean, I'll put it like this. Just the ranks mean nothing. It's who have they fought and did they fight well? Vettori fought well enough. The difference here is I think if Gaethje wins, he'll be more likely to get the title rematch. Whereas I think if Vettori just goes to decision, that's it. He's going to be the number 4 gatekeeper till he proves otherwise. But I do think they're both superior fighters against their opponents, but opponents who nonetheless could beat them, but they're going to have to come out. They're going to have to make a statement and knock these guys out. Yeah. I just don't see that happening, not especially against Gaethje. So, I mean, that would be my underdog pick, to be honest with you. And this is my dog pick. It's Justin Gaethje.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. On to the championship fight. It's round 3. We're live in London, Leon Edwards' hometown. The champion, he's coming home as I shit you not, champion underdog, plus 198. We're almost getting a 2-1 odds on Leon Edwards. Number 1, Kamaru Usman in the immediate rematch. He's minus 250. First fight went to decision, went Usman's way. Second fight went 5 rounds. Usman was winning, took a kick to the head, got knocked out. Leon Edwards is the champ. We're now in fight number 3. And Kamaru's still the big favorite. Does that tell you everything, or do you think we're missing something?
No, I actually think this. I wonder what the over/under for this fight is, because
I will look that up for you.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I could see this being a really boring fight. You know why? Because I could see Leon Edwards looking for the kill shot again, Usman not wanting to get killed and this being a very sort of boring. I think this is going to be a letdown on the fight card. I don't think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be very slow moving, very boring, because Usman's going to want to go, tie him up, do his little foot stomps. And I think Edwards is going to be looking for that same kill shot as last time because that's what won him the fight. I mean, let's be honest. Leon Edwards doesn't deserve to be the champion. If you look at that fight, I mean, it was what, 4 rounds to none Usman? Going to be 5 rounds
3-1
for a miracle head kick. I mean,
I would say 3-1. I would say Leon maybe won the first, but then Usman took it over.
I mean, the fight was over. They were on the broadcast. They were talking about, Edwards really back to the drawing board for him, and they're basically like the fight's over, and then all of a sudden, boom, head kick.
Edwards was even talking like it was over, like he knew he lost, and just it took his corner to be like, no, you still have 5 minutes. Like, you want to be a champ? Go get it in 5 minutes. Like,
and I mean, look, good. I shouldn't say like he's a bum. I mean, good for him. He did it. Like, he got it. Maybe he does it again. I don't know, but I just think
over-under's at 4.5, so it kind of leans in your favor.
Yeah. What's the numbers? Over 4.5 is what?
-196.
Oh, see, I don't want it at those odds. Really?
You could take the fight to go the distance at -156. A little better, but
yeah, that's disappointing. Yeah, I'm probably not going to bet this.
But wouldn't that tell you to just take Kamaru Usman by decision?
Yeah.
Which would be +115.
Yeah, but I guess that makes sense. But I'm just wondering
your logic.
But I'm just wondering, does Usman? I think there's a realm where I think there's a world where Leon Edwards wins by decision, where he just throws more than Usman, and Usman's just afraid to engage because he's afraid to get knocked out again. Like, I could see this. Like I said, I could see this being. What was the fight? Paulo Costa against, God, I forgot who it was, where they threw a grand total of like 20 strikes the whole fight.
Oh, Christ. It was, it wasn't Strickland, was it?
No. I forgot who it was. Paulo Costa and somebody else. Why don't you give your handicap? I'll look that up.
Sure. Here's my take. And this is I heard this on a different, I don't know if it was a podcast or a sports broadcast. This is going to come down to who adjusts the game plan more the third time around. Because this is the trilogy fight. Both of the fights previously clearly were cited for Kamaru Usman. So the question becomes, does Leon Edwards adjust his game plan for the third time around, where, let's be honest, beating a guy 3 times in a row is going to be difficult, even if you did lose the second one? Or does Kamaru adjust his game plan because he got knocked out and because he kept it up when he could have just went back to the wrestling? My take here is in line with Vettori and with Gaethje, which is, I think he's the superior fighter. I think if he just adjusts his game plan to keep it to the mat, he doesn't have to tap him out. He doesn't have to finish him. He can out-wrestle Edwards for 5 rounds and get a win. We've seen that before. We saw that in the first fight with Jorge Masvidal. We've seen Kamaru Usman in these kind of boring fight situations, and I think the odds kind of tell you that this is not only going to go over 4.5, this is most likely going to go to decision. The odds favor it to go to decision. And out of the two, they're saying Usman is +115, and I think Leon Edwards was +460. So I think the sports books are kind of already telling you what I've already am kind of alluding to. I think Kamaru just drags this one out. I don't think it's that necessarily he's going to be afraid. I think if anyone's going to be afraid, it'll be Leon. And I think it'll be because Leon's going to try and go for that kill shot again. But the minute he's taken to the ground, it's going to be flashbacks to Vietnam, where a second fight all over again. But even in their first fight, it wasn't exciting. It was boring. It went to decision. I I don't think Kamaru's going to go looking for the kill shot here. I think Kamaru just wants the belt back, and he's going to do it by any means necessary. And I just think he is out of the two, he is the better fighter. Now, could Leon Edwards get a lucky strike again? I don't think it'll be so much as luck this time around. I think if Leon Edwards outboxes Kamaru and keeps it standing, that's how he wins, if he takes it to decision. But I just don't. I think based on skill sets, based on prior history, this is Kamaru's to lose.
Yeah, I do too. But yeah, I could see both fighters being a little tentative because I think it's human nature when you take a knockout like that, where you get flash knockout. I mean, that was a flash knockout. He goes, he's up, he's down. There was really, if I remember correctly, there was no, 2 minutes of sort of beating him up on the ground. I mean, it was literally just like a flash.
It wasn't knockout. A ground and pound. It was a flash kick, night dipshit.
Yeah. So I could just, like I said, I see this being a very tentative fight. I don't think the crowd's going to be very happy because I could see it being sort of a very tentative.
Kind of like an Izzy card. Like an Izzy main event.
Yeah, doesn't this feel like this feels like an Izzy?
It really does. This to me seems like it's going to be like, I guess overall with this card, it's going to be in between the crazy flashes of the first UK card since COVID, but a little bit better than the second card. I don't think the entire thing's going to be boring. I think we're going to see some really great fights. I think we're going to see one of these fights could be like a true classic where it'll be on repeat one day. I don't know which fight it'll be, but I think we're going to be seeing some good bangers out there. I just don't know overall if I should get too hyped on this.
Fighters make fights, I think. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think other than the main event, it has the ability to do so. Like, I get the main event. It's going to make sense for both fighters to be tentative. But some of these other fights, like especially on the main card, like there are guys who have a chance to put themselves in title contention. And I'm just hoping that you see that level of urgency where somebody's really willing to sort of make a statement and put their name on the map. Because, I mean, we've seen it in the UFC. How many times? Somebody has like one big win and it, boom, it should look at Erin Blanchfield. I mean, Erin Blanchfield against Molly McCann was a 4-1 underdog. And she wins that fight. Big card, makes a statement. Next fight, big card, makes a statement, and then there it is. I mean, look at
freaking Bo Nickel. One quick Dana White's Contender Series win, and Dana's like, I need one more fight from you. And he just does the same thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, we'll put you on a pay-per-view, but like, here you go. Here's a guy. He's had a couple UFC fights, which we have a couple of those fights here on this card. What does Bo Nickel do? Less than 2 minutes. Same thing he did in the last two.
And the key is you got to, I think the UFC, maybe more so than like boxing where everybody just fights the undefeated records. It's really, you start to sort of test after test. And I think you see like the Paddy Pimblets of the world, you fight a Jared Gordon, you have an ugly decision, and it sort of just diminishes a lot of what you're trying to do. Whereas you go, if you're a Bo Nickel, if you're a Kamayev, if you're a lot of these young guys, a guy like Makayev, a guy, guys like Fizev and Dolidze. I mean, these are big chances for these guys to go sort of knock off big names. And if you have a big, you have a big performance, tell you what, you're right there in title contention, especially. And I guess last point, we talked about it too. Valentina, that is over. Amanda Nunes, she's the champ again, but she's mortal again. Izzy out. Alexander Volkanovski. Now, mind you, he fought a good guy and not.
He moved up in weight. He lost by what should have been a victory. I'll be honest.
Close fight, but you get the idea. I mean, a lot of these longtime champs have lost. There's a lot of turnover in the UFC. this is the opportunity for these young guys to sort of, now's your chance, man. There's a lot of turnover.
I'll say this too for the guys who are making their debuts as well. I mean, I know he really didn't go as in depth as normal, but there were a lot of fights here and a lot of unknowns. Make yourselves known. Like that's the message for these guys making their debuts, or guys who maybe have a couple fights or are like 1 foot out the door. Like, this is like the make or break card. That's why I think we're going to see some exciting things. Maybe some shockers as to who it comes from, but these are either going to be young bucks who want to make a statement, or there's going to be the old vets who are just going to say, no, there's a reason I'm here, and don't forget about me. And more so, my opinion is more so on the main card, are the veterans going to make that much more of a difference. And I think on the prelims and the earlier, we'll see some of the young bucks take over. We'll see who's legit.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like the prove it sort of cards where you got a lot of young bucks who, again, like you said, it's not about winning 3-round decisions for a lot of these people. You know what I mean? It's really an opportunity to sort of make a statement and show, okay, are you going to be a gatekeeper person who's going to be on fight night after fight night, or are you going to be a person who, the Juju Millers of the world, the Makayevs of the world? Big
like, do you want a ranking? Do you want to move up, or do you want another title shot, or do you just want to be a gatekeeper?
Yeah.
So 286 is going to be exciting in a different way, and I think we just kind of covered all those bases. All right, top 3 pick. Let's go with our top 3 picks to end the show within the last 4 minutes. Mansmann, give me your dog, give me your best one, and then maybe throw in a bonus one.
Yeah, so the lead say is, I think, sort of the best bet for value play, and also sort of my dog of the card that I like and maybe putting some money on. Also liked Carolina as well in the prelims for the reasons I said regarding JoJo Wood. And then I guess in terms of favorites, let me see if I could. I'm trying to think of who really I was big on. Just real quick, I'm going over it again. I think
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. But I think Sam Patterson as well as sort of a sneaky favorite against a guy with very little experience. So that was sort of my quirky little favorite that's maybe not like obvious.
Okay. My dog, Justin Gaethje, shouldn't be a dog. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Other bonus pick. I'll take Killer. Once the odds come out, maybe we'll throw something on the Twitter. Juliana Killer Miller, the Mansmann special. I'll play her to get a finish.
You're terrible on the Mansmann special. You always lose when you bet. I'm concerned.
I don't know if I'll bet it, but I probably will. Like, depends. I'll say it depends on the odds. If it's like a minus 400 for her to get a finish, I doubt I'll play it. But I like and Omar Morales just kind of as the pick'em fight. I'm gonna lean with the strong veteran here against the unknown rookie.
Oh, bold
in that fight. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bolder here this time around. So yeah, Gaethje, Morales, and Killer Miller.
Got it, man. We got it.
All right, Degen Nation, thanks for joining us this time around. Good luck with all your bets. Go win some motherfucking money. I'm Steve Big Bucks Beyta.
Money, man. Money.
Signing off.